Right then. Hello, I'm here with my good friend Graham Hamilton. This is the first time that I've done the podcast. My name's Olly Dykes. I'm the managing director at Oberon Auctions. You might have seen our previous streams with Alex and Rob. They're doing the art side of things, and today we're going to be going over the diecast department and mainly Matchbox. So yeah, I'm here with my good friend Graham Hamilton. He's been in the Matchbox world for a while, but I'll let him introduce himself.
Yeah, hi everybody. I'm Graham Hamilton. I've been around the block. I mean, I've been involved in toys all my life, basically, as a child, and then a collector in my 20s, and turned it into a business. And now I'm delighted to be connected with Oberon Auctions. We've known each other for a few years now, and I've come on board. As a Matchbox, not just Matchbox, but a diecast specialist as well. My role in the company is certainly to promote the company, bring in consignments, and just work alongside the other specialists in the company, namely Julian, who's our specialist cataloger and fantastic auctioneer, I have to say. That's just a little bit about me. I wouldn't say I'm in my twilight years now, but I've been involved in the industry for, I'm coming on 60. It's a lifelong thing, guys. It really is. And, I can speak from a collector point of view as well as a dealer point of view. And yes, I am considered, a lot of people know me as a dealer, but I'm a collector at heart, so I do, hold a very, very strong passion for this, and I think you need a passion for this industry, which is why I'm connected with Oberon, because all the people involved are either passionate collectors or have been dealers like myself that certainly know the product and the industry, and it's great to connect with all you people.
Yeah, I mean, when we sort of started this. It was with the mind that we want collectors involved, people that know the industry, people that are, well connected within the world of their own specialism. And you're definitely very connected in your own specialism, Graham, for sure.
I'll stop it now.
I know. Yeah, everyone follows you around like Jesus when we go to the toy shows. That's a credit. Go on.
I've got to jump in there, Ollie, because in the early days, I'd met Ollie previously, of course. Even pre-setting up Oberon, and the first time Ollie actually came down to my part of the world was probably a culture shock for him, being a northerner. But he's laughing, and he saw me at Sandown for the first time and had this trailer. People behind me, and he said to me, he goes, "Oh, you're like Jesus." He's got this trail of people following you behind, which is, look, it's very, very flattering, because listen, I'm not bigging myself up, but I've been told I'm a bit of a personality in the Matchbox and diecast world, and I think it's probably, I'm a bit of a colourful character. I think when Graham's in the room, sort of thing, I'm quite loud and brash, but I think it's ultimately having the passion for this industry, and I have to say, my knowledge of the industry is impeccable. The industry is very friendly, I have to say. I've been dealing. I mean, I've had people that have bought off me for since year dot, and ultimately they become your friends, and you share other passions. And one thing I will hit upon is, particularly with the Matchbox and diecast side, there's a lot of things go hand in hand with that, and that's certainly the classic car scene, which I'm quite involved with as well, so I'm very well connected in that area. And you just meet all these people and you get really, really friendly, and I've got a guy coming down this afternoon to see me who really started as a customer, but he's become a friend, and a lot of my customers are my friends now, and that's the way the industry, and that's what we want to try and get across with the Oberon thing, because we want to have an Oberon family, and you're all very welcome to be part of that, whether you're a buyer, whether you can sign or whatever, or you just want to follow our podcast or come and meet us at the toy shows. And so when we set up at these toy shows, and I'm certainly more active on that now in the south of the country, you'll see that we get a very, very big response because we talk the same language. We're not just sitting there at the table just yesing and knowing at people. People come up to us, and we're happy to give the advice to you guys. Yes, of course, we're ultimately there to promote the company. We're there to take in consignments. That's why we're there primarily. But people come up to us for a chat. Come and have a cup of tea with us, whatever. They'll want opinions on things, and I think ultimately, if you help people along the way, rather than as some people do, find them a bit of a nuisance, then you will reap the rewards from that. As I say, it's a fantastic industry to be in.
Yeah, well, I agree. I mean, a lot of people might know that I do the trading cards, video games, that side of thing. Obviously, Graham's Matchbox and Diecast. But it's something Alex touched upon on another podcast, that a lot of the feedback that we get from other auction houses globally is that it's becoming a very AI, very sort of fill in a form world. And something that we want to hold and that will never stop is you can always have a direct contact with the person that is selling your items. If you've got something that's rare and you want to speak to Graham, you'll always be able to speak to him directly. Same with Julian, same with me, same with Alex, same with Nick. Any of our specialists you can actually have a chat with, make sure that your items are being dealt with, because at heart, we're all collectors as well. And I would want my items treated with the same respect. So, don't get me wrong, we are a business, but it's more than that. We want to create a community, and we want to create a place that people ultimately enjoy, because collecting is a hobby.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally echo that. There was two big things that happened in this country a few years ago, and it was COVID and Brexit. And it's really taken out, those two big factors have taken out the personal approach to a lot of businesses. As Ollie just said there, the AI thing, which I find absolutely infuriating. I want to deal with human beings at the end of the day. I wanted to book a hotel room yesterday, and all I got was AI. And I said, can I speak to a human being? And then I got cut off. It's just nonsense. So unfortunately, a lot of auction houses, because of the COVID thing, a lot of people work from home. They got used to the idea, and it's really taken away that personal approach. And how many auction houses now offer the in-room live bidding? There's not many. The specialist auction houses, it's all just online now. You can't view these things. You can't bid in the room. We still do that because we want to meet you guys, and we want that personal approach. Simple as that.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. It's something that we feel very passionately about, especially me. I mean, Matchbox is very similar to the trading cards in this sense that you'll agree with me, Graham. Condition is so incredibly important to the seller and the buyer. People that are in our world might have a chuckle, there's a slight scratch on a car or there's a slight chip, but that for a collector, that's an incredibly important thing. And if, for me, it's just a problem if I can't physically have that item in my hand, speak to somebody that knows the world, get a second opinion, a third opinion, and then it makes me a lot more comfortable to buy the items. And as a seller, I need to know and have the confidence that that's something that they can offer. So, like I say, we'll always have in-room viewing. We'll always have live bidding. A lot of people come down. Graham comes up from the south for our diecast sales. We always go out. We have a chat. Loads of people will come down. They'll ask Graham's opinion on an item because it's very valued. And it's just something that at the core of our business we properly believe in, really.
Yeah, I think too, I've always been very keen on, giving opinions. Because unfortunately, one thing we haven't picked up on this podcast is, the bodgery and fakery that's crept into the market, and whether it's a Pokemon card, a Star Wars figure, a Matchbox toy, dinky toy, whatever, it's there. The fake market is there, and the reason it's there is because these things are valuable. It's as simple as that. Yeah. And there are, and the thing is, the experts. Look, I couldn't spot a fake Pokemon card. Olly can. Olly probably couldn't spot a fake Matchbox toy, but I can. Julian can. This is the point. We've got a team of people that can spot these things, and we're very, very happy to give, our opinions. We don't charge for that. I mean, anybody can come and see us, either in-house, any toy shows we attend to. I'm attending in person Brentwood in Essex, which is it's a really good die-cast fair. Kempton Park, which is southwest London. The whole Oberon team are at Sandown Park, NEC. I think there's a few up north that Olly's looking to do at some point. So, guys, you're welcome to sort of come along, and we're very, very happy to give you opinion. You know, you don't feel as though, oh, well, you know, I'm not going to ask them because, you know, they might want something for their time or their expertise. No, not at all. We're very happy to talk to you guys. And leading on from that is, so when we put a Pokemon sale together or a Matchbox sale or a Star Wars sale, we guarantee the authenticity. It's as simple as that. You know, we have experts that can spot these things. So it gives the buyer, you know, the ultimate confidence. And a case in point is, look, you know, we're an infant company. It's been 2 years, I think, Olly, 2.5 years, whatever. You know, we've got a lot of sales under our belt now. And just going by the Matchbox sales, I mean, we've had some record-breaking prices in our infancy. Now, the reason that is because, you know, on the Matchbox side, myself and Julian are very well connected. You know, everybody knows who we are. They value our opinions. So they have complete confidence. And this is why we get world record-breaking prices, whether it's a Pokemon card, a Matchbox toy, or a Star Wars figure, because people trust what the auction or the cataloger is telling them. And that's fact.
Yeah, well, I think it's very important to note that our specialists, you know, of course, when you've done it for a long time, I've been Pokemon sort of 15 years or whatever since I was a teenager. Graham's been in Matchbox 30 something years, 40
all
years.
My life, to be honest,
yeah,
really.
Exactly.
It's all my life.
But so you obviously pick up knowledge on other bits and bobs. I've picked up a bit of Matchbox knowledge, bit of Star Wars knowledge. I'm sure Graham picks up other bits and bobs, especially in diecast. You know, Dinky, Hot Wheels, all this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But our professionalism is our professionalism. I will never give an opinion on something when I've got someone as like Graham or Julian that I can easily just give a phone call, say, look, can you help me out with this? And I know that I can get an expert opinion within minutes. So I never try and pull the wool over people's eyes and pretend. We've got the specialists that can do the job, and that's something that we're very proud of, to be honest.
There's nothing worse than somebody, you know, if you want an opinion on something. And, you know, there's a lot of companies, whether it's the auction companies or whatever, that say they've got the experts, and then you speak to them and they haven't got a clue, you know, and you get this sort of, you don't get that with us. You know, if you present me with a Matchbox toy, I'll tell you exactly what it is, exactly what it's worth, what we can achieve at auction, and whether it's authentic or not. And that's what we want to try and promote. And we do that across the board. As I say, whether it's, you know, a Star Wars figure or a trading card, whatever.
Yeah, well, absolutely. I mean, it's one of those we've had consignments, you know, of one item where somebody's had it in a loft and not known what it is. It's obviously within our best interest to say, look, you've got this, it's rare. If not, it's not right. We've also had collections in the not hundreds, but tens of thousands of models that we've broke down, you know, and each item gets individually looked at, gets assessed. And yeah, we just want to build a community really where people have the trust in us to sell their lifelong collections, as we've sort of touched on. I mean, you sold your collection elsewhere, we'll just say, before we were making moves.
Yeah, look, we'd have to mention names, but you know, everybody knows anybody that knows me I sold my collection 5 years ago, and it was a great experience. And you know, it was sold at the time by, I have to say, the best cataloger and the best auctioneer in the company, which is
who now works here, by the way.
Indeed, he does, and he did an absolutely fantastic job for me. You know, and it was a great experience. But you know, that's 5 years ago. But I'll tell you something, guys. Yes, I sold my lifelong Matchbox collection. What did I do? The very next day, started buying it again. If you've got the collecting bug, it is a disease and it's not going to go away. It gets worse. I mean, God, in 5 years, the amount of stuff I've bought back, it's infectious. I can't help it. It's just the way it is. And as I say, you know, all collections come to the market. You know, my collection will probably, it will do at some point. Olly's going to be selling it for me. You know, I don't know when that's going to be. But I have warned him that one time, at some point you're going to send your van down and pick up everything here. Because what a lot of people don't know is that, yes, I sold my entire Matchbox collection. I have since bought a lot of Matchbox toys back from my collection, but I've still got all my other bits. Wasn't just a Matchbox collector. I've got a collection of Dinky and Corgi and Britons and toy garages, tin plate, battery operated toys, all sorts. It's quite an eclectic collection. My focus really on the collection was really, from my childhood era. It's 60s and 70s toys, which in my opinion is the golden age. With Olly, his golden era was, the 90s and 2000s, which is the Pokemon generation, the trading card generation, or the video game generation. I mean, Xboxes and original PlayStations, I don't know if they're worth anything. Nintendos and all these little games and things. I mean, if you're half my age, then you're not going to be into the toys that I was in the 60s and 70s.
Yeah, I think the first thing to touch on that is, strangely enough, like before this, I only collected Pokemon cards. That was all I was into. But, when you speak to passionate collectors about other stuff, you start to appreciate the models a bit more. I've now even got a small Matchbox collection. Cement mixers, yeah, exactly. Which, funnily enough, I asked Julian what his least favourite model was, and he said it was a cement mixer. So I decided, right, I'm going to collect cement mixers now and haunt him with them.
Well, why not, mate? If it fills your days,
But yeah, I mean, with what comes through the sale room, especially, handling it all the time, you start to get an appreciation. I've got, some military prints and photographs, video games, Pokemon cards, some Dinky, some Corgi, some Matchbox, a little bit of Star Wars, some TV and film. Just so much that you just, when you're around it, you just pick bits up, you have a chat, you have a trade, so yeah, it's something that, like you say, is definitely a bug, but it's effectively deciding what you want to collect. And I personally think that it's very much nostalgia driven. You mentioned the golden age of toys, but I never even remember Matchbox, to be honest. As a kid, it will have been about, won't it, in the 90s, but it wasn't the super fast regular wheels sort of heyday, obviously.
The Matchbox and the Hot Wheels thing. I mean, it really became a thing for supermarkets. They call them dump bins, a big huge box where they're all just thrown in. I hate that personally. But back in the day when I was a child, I mean, I still have those fond memories of going shopping on a Saturday with my mum in the local village, and there'll be the archetypal toy shop there. We used to go in and it'd be the old boy in there and his Ronnie Barker brown coat and his pens in his pocket, and his wife would be in the background making a cup of tea, and you just walk in there and occasionally your parent might buy you a Matchbox toy. I'm not talking every week here, guys. I'm talking once every 3 or 4 months. And it was a real joy to go in these shops and see all these Matchbox toys because you have these retail display things, whether it's a circular display or these big wooden things that used to be on their countertop. And you just go to, oh, Graham, would you like a Matchbox toy today? Oh, yeah, thanks, Mum. And you just go along thinking, oh, which one should I have? And that was great. But now, of course, I mean, back then money was tight. People think money's tight now, but trust me, money back then was really tight. I mean, Matchbox, I first remember Matchbox toys being 12.5 new pence, right? So that was around 1971, 72. 12.5p, for goodness sake.
I don't even remember a halfpenny, to be honest.
Yeah, half p's. Yeah, they went out in the early 80s, I think 81, 82, something like that. But yeah, 12.5p. I think they went from 2 shillings, which in new money is 10p, to then 12.5p with decimalisation. I remember them being 12.5p, but 12.5p, honestly, that wasn't even pocket money. Pocket money back then was pennies. It's as simple as that. So a Matchbox toy, let's say one every 3 or 4 months. So because they were precious, where did that come from?
There we go.
Yeah. They were precious to me. A 12, stupid now, 12.5p Matchbox toy was precious to me.
I mean, it's a weird one because one of my earliest memories as well is going into Toy Master in Otley, which is a local village in Leeds, and going in and getting a packet of Pokemon cards. My sister getting a Sylvanian Families. Going with your dad, or you've been good at your grandma's. I'll get you a packet of Pokemon cards. But you do sort of wonder. I mean, this might be a topic for another day, but you wonder where it's going with toys. It's all, even video games now. Video games are getting completely. Well, they're not going to exist. It's all going to be virtual download. So I think even as a younger person than you, Graham, I think it's going to be a bit of a lost art, maybe the wrong word, but going with your parent to go and buy a toy and having that key memory, and it's a bit sad, really.
I mean, I'm on grandkids now. I've got 3 grandkids, and as you say there, I mean, we go into these like supermarket toy shops. It's just not the same. We got this huge, like the Toys R Us, Smith's Toys. We've got one in my local town, Farnborough, and it's a colossus. I mean, it's a warehouse full of toys, and it's just not the same. I say for me in the early 70s to go in this little toy shop, the little bell on the door, ding ding, and you go in there and buy a Matchbox toy. And I've taken me and my wife, we take our grandkids in there, and like you spend 50 quid each on them, and you come out with rubbish. Just a lot of it's just like packaging. It's a huge box with some little fluffy toy inside or whatever, and there's Hot Wheels in there, but again, they're just not the same. I mean, there are some nice Hot Wheels toys at the moment, don't get me wrong, but the adults are buying them. If Hot Wheels produce a Ford Escort or a Sierra or an Audi Quattro, who's buying them? Me, and adults. The kids want the funny car. So there's a little tip for you guys, right? Because us adults, because we have this collector bug, we're the ones that are buying all these like so-called collectible Hot Wheels toys. I think the ones that are going to be worth money, again, is the one that the kids buy and play with, because they get thrown away and broken. All the ones us collectors buy, the Ford Escorts and the Capris and the Cortinas, they just stay in their packet in mint condition forevermore. It's a bit like the yesteryear market. Let's not pretend the Matchbox yesteryear market, I mean, was sold to dads and granddads in the time. So they all survived. Too many survived in decent condition. Whereas a Matchbox toy in the 70s got played with, broken, thrown away, which is why a Matchbox 1 to 75 super fast toy is worth considerably more than a Matchbox yesteryear, because the yesteryears survived. All right, there's a few that didn't, but I didn't know any kids that played with yesteryear models. They just didn't. It was for a collector market.
I mean, it's one of those. I mean, Matchbox is similar to the Pokemon stuff, but it's exactly the same. The reason why they command these, outrageous prices, really, in some of them, is because they have to be perfect. And which kid in the 90s is getting a Pokemon card, putting it in a plastic sleeve, putting it in another plastic sleeve, putting it to one side and never touching it? No, you're not. You're going round, you're wiping the snot off your nose and touching the cards.
They're trading cards.
Writing on them.
You're taking them to school in your satchel. That's a bit 60s and 70s. You take them to school in your satchel. you take them to school in your bag, and they're all flying around in there, and they're in the playground, as you just said. People just didn't leave them in the packet, or then suddenly took it out of the packet and got it graded. Did they?
Yeah, well, I mean, a lot of the stuff, I don't know if it's similar with Matchbox, a lot of the trading card stuff that existed was from parents that had bought them, and either the kids had grown out of it, or I mean, I'm not saying that it's they buy one and they put one away. I'm not saying that, but like maybe you might, if you give your kid, I remember my mum giving me a pack of Pokemon cards after school, you know what I mean? If teacher said you've been good. So, maybe you buy a box and then you give your kid a couple of packs, and then eventually you don't, and you leave them in the loft, and then wow. I mean, there have been so many Pokemon finds in the last 5 years where people have found packets of cards that are just unopened. And, they're hundreds, even thousands of pounds sometimes. So, you really can be sat on a gold mine. So if you do have some kids around that age, go check your loft. You might be pleasantly surprised.
But it's funny, isn't it? It's like, you know, we don't know what's going to be valuable in the future. Nobody thought in the late 80s, 2000s that Pokemon cards would be changing hands for. Look, we're not just talking tens of pounds here. We're talking hundreds of thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands. I mean, who would have thought that? You know.
Well, as you know, Graham. My dad's a big Star Wars collector. He's been in the Star Wars world. He'll probably come on the podcast. That's Nick Dykes. We'll have a chat similar with Graham about the Star Wars stuff. But he was doing the toy fairs and flipping, you know, bits and bobs. And obviously, you'll know at the toy fairs, if you see a decent deal, you pick it up. You can sell out on the end of your table. And they actually bought a pallet of first edition base set booster boxes, which now are crazy money. I'm talking tens of thousands, possibly even hundreds of thousands, and they had pallets of them, paying £5 a unit, selling them for 20. You know, and I've had a conversation with my dad about this, and he's like, "Yeah, we were making 15 quid a box, and they were flying out like absolute hotcakes." You know, sometimes I even say to him, "How did you not just put two aside?" You know, but it's like you say, you make your money at the time, don't you? Nobody knows. We always,
you do. Yeah, I mean, from strictly a dealer point of view, look, you know, I do this to earn money as a dealer. That's what I do. That's how I earn my money. People who don't know the industry find that quite surprising. What you sell toys and make money out of it? Yeah, it's what I do, and I've been doing it for a long time. Right? I need to make money. You need to turn over. And Olly just said there, you know, I've done similar things where, yeah, I bought this stack of stuff, but you've got to turn it. You've got to turn it round. You have to turn it round because you've invested in it, right? You know, we've all got bills to pay, you know, mortgages and families and all that sort of stuff. So a lot of the time we couldn't sit on it. Yeah, but of course, in hindsight, we would have done. But at the time when you invest in these things, you know, the important thing is, right, let's turn some stuff over. It's that simple, really. But I say it's just hindsight. We just don't know. I mean, are there things in the shops now where we should be buying because in 20 years' time we don't know that? Nobody can answer that.
Yeah, I mean, it sort of brings you on to it's a nice little segue, this, I think, into when to sell a collection. And I mean, as you know, Graham, you've got a lot of contacts that will have big, expensive. I mean, I know expensive's a bit of a word that can vary between people, but you know, as soon as you're talking 5 figures plus in plastic or hard or metal, you know, and it's sitting there and you've had it for 30 years, there is a time. I mean, we sort of talk sometimes about, don't we, when is the right time to sell? And especially in the Matchbox with the demographic of people now, you and Julian believe that a lot of it's going to come to market as of recent, don't you, Graham?
It's generational. It's as simple as that. From my experience, this is just purely Matchbox, and look, I'm Matchbox and diecast, but you know, 80% of what I've always done is Matchbox. Matchbox is my staple, without a doubt, and I'm more known for that than anything else. So I've seen what's happened, and I've seen what's happened over the years, like through my whole life, essentially, and it's generational. As a dealer now, talking as a dealer, my average customer was the generation on from me. So I'm 60 next go, which is just around the corner. You know, my average customer is now they're turning 80, you know, more than that. And a lot of these people think, well, while they're still in control of it, they want to now sell their collection because look, like I did. I mean, I had my collection for like 30 years, and you know, I sold 5 years ago. I mean, I had my reasons for selling it. It wasn't a financial reason. You know, and it wasn't due to the fact that, oh, hang on a minute, I think it's now time to sell because the market's dropped. No, it wasn't. The market is still good at the moment, and it was very good when I sold my collection, and it did very, very well. But you know, it became a risk because my collection became so valuable. And guys, you all know, if you know me, you know what my collection sold for, right? When you've got that amount of or that size of a collection in your house, and your collection is worth more than your house, Sorry, guys.
Yeah, it's mad.
It is mad. It's absolute madness that my collection was worth more than my flipping house. You know, it's just like, it then becomes, you can't enjoy it because you go away for the weekend. Oh, you worry about your collection. You go abroad for a holiday. Oh, God, will it be there when I get back? And I'm not talking about, you know, a scumbag breaking in and nicking it. You know, it's all sorts of things. It's why a house is insured. You know, it's fire, flood, all sorts of things. A truck can run through your house, and something can drop out the sky. You know, loose wires cause fires, all that sort of stuff. And I would have hated for my collection to go up in smoke. You know, so it was, for me, it was time to sell. But at the moment, yes, I think how many people younger than me are collecting Matchbox of the era that I like? Not very many. So although the market is good, I think it is going to start dropping off.
Yeah, I mean, it's another point as well. I mean, even I'm pretty young. I had a word with my wife and said, look, I mean, it's different because I have an auction house, but, you know, giving clear instruction gives me quite a lot of peace in myself to know that, because everyone knows these items, to people that don't collect, they don't particularly get it a lot of the time. Pokemon's a bit different because it's become very mainstream and is now seen as an asset and whatnot. That's a little bit different. But for most people that don't collect, if they find a room full of toys, especially in circumstances, you know, where maybe you've not been telling your other half that you've spent 500 quid on a toy, and, you know, you've tried to get one over. Oh, it was only 50 quid. Oh, that's not too bad. You know, in those circumstances where a dealer might swoop in, if she thinks it's only worth £50 and somebody comes and says, you know, puts it on Facebook Marketplace and says, oh, I'll give you 60 for it. Oh, brilliant. So, and you know, you've been a toy dealer. I've dealt in trades and whatnot. We all want to buy at the absolute minimum, and we all want to sell at the absolute maximum. That's just business. Whereas I think with an auction house, what you get is it's sold on commission. It's within our best interest to get the best prices for you as well. The more money you make, the more money we make. Simple.
Absolutely. And listen, I've been, you know, promoting the company, and that what Ollie was saying there a second ago is there are people that have got these fantastic collections, and as Ollie just said there, you know, the other half, they've got no idea, you know. And listen, it happens all the time, you know, where this, as Ollie said there, you know, they've stuck out to a toy show, spent £500 on a Matchbox toy when they should have been giving her more housekeeping money, or
we've all done it.
Absolutely. So the wife, girlfriend, whatever, they don't know. They don't know what it's worth. So I've always, you know, for my own interest, really, is to be introduced to the wives and girlfriends, and just to say, look, you know, if anything happens or you need to sell it, you know, or even say to the actual collector, get them in touch, because you don't want your wife or girlfriend, whatever, just as Ollie said there, just put it on Facebook or this, that, and the other, or eBay or this, that, and the other. It needs to go to a specialist market, and I've installed that in people for like years and years and years, and this is how, you know, that I've been able to buy collections, or now feeding through the auction house, because, you know, these wives, girlfriends, or whatever ring me up and say, look, it's time for this to sell. Can you do it? And
the other advantage you have is we all know that these collecting communities are relatively small. Everyone knows everyone. Everyone knows what somebody's, usually if it's something rare, what somebody's paid for this, who they got it off, who was the previous owner, right? With an auction house, you have complete anonymity. The collection comes up. If you don't want, unless we are given specific instruction, we won't release who a vendor is. That's always the case. So, you know, you're not going to get the wool pulled over your eyes, or you're not going to get somebody trying to fleece you, basically. So yeah, that's one of the advantages that we've got here. But yeah, on that note, I think, you know, we are doing Sandown. What date's Sandown, Graham?
I think it's the night. It's the first week. It's the first weekend of September, or possibly the second. But it's is it the 7th, something like that? I haven't got my diary to hand, but
I think it's 6th or 7th.
Yeah, 6th, 7th,
first Saturday.
Yeah, if
Yes.
guys, if you look at that, or look, you can just Google it, Sandown Park Toy Show. But yes, we shall be there in force.
Yeah, we're going to be there. There's going to be the full team. We're going to have different specialists there that can answer all your questions with all this stuff. And it's like Graham says, just come down, just come have a chat. We're all collectors. We all love toys. We're more than happy to have a chat with you, show you what's in the cabinets, see what you're collecting, see what you're getting on with. If you do want to sell and you want to use us, I feel pretty confident in saying that we're probably the best option for you. But I mean, I would say that, wouldn't I?
Listen, but you've got a team behind you, Ollie. This is the point. There's a team in place to deal with this. It's not as though you've got in a bunch of nobodies. You've done the right thing, and you've got a team of specialists, myself included in that, and that's what it takes. And this is what I don't like with listen, we've all dealt with companies that say they've got these specialists. They haven't got a clue. We have, and that's pivotal, I think.
Yeah, like I say, you can come down and have a proper chat with us. So yes, Sandown, we've got NEC at the end of the month. Graham will be doing Brentwood, some other
Kempton
shows.
Park. I was at the Camberley car show in Surrey last week as well. So I was having a good walk around there, introducing myself and stuff, and had a good chat with people. I've got another one at the end of the month, so you'll not just see me at toy shows. We're going to spread the word at classic car shows, motorcycle shows, because as I said initially, these industries go hand in hand. If you walk around a car show, the amount of people that have got a toy car of their actual vehicle on their dashboard, and to all the people that I know that are into that market collect toys. They go hand in hand. So that's why we're doing that as well.
Yeah, so we'll be at the shows to come and see us. I mean, we are open Monday to Friday 9 to 4 at our Yeadon office. You just drop us an email. You can always come say hello, come have a look round. The stock turns over, so we've always got cool different stuff in the cabinets. So just visit the website. That's got all the information, www.oberonauctions.com. It's been a pleasure to listen to your voice for the last 37 minutes and 30 seconds, Graham.
Well, the pleasure was all mine, mate.
Yeah. So we are, like I say, the YouTube channel's relatively new. We're going to have another one, I think, with Julian. We're going to have one with you and Julian on. We're going to try get Nick Dykes. That's my father. He does the Star Wars. Alex will be having different people on for the art world. And we also are going to be trying to get consignees on. So something that we think would be pretty cool and pretty interesting, we've already done it with the art, would be if you consign something rare or interesting, we'd love to know the story behind the item, how you got it, where it came from. Just come and have a chat about Dykes. So if you are interested in coming on the podcast, drop us an email. We'll get something sorted and organised. And it's been a pleasure, Graham, and I'm sure we will be on again soon.